We're approaching the Mexican border. I'm on my brake. Something like isn't tight enough. Both of my Maude Mk2 Escorts. It started raining. No good at all. To remove my moody bracket, drill some holes. Got to put road tax on Esther and Maude. Don't you hate it when multiple bills come in at the same time? Hello and welcome to this video. I'm Marcus Hayes, and today you join me on the way to work in Maude, my Maude Mk2 Escort. In this video, I'm going to be doing some bits on this car and my other Maude Mk2 Escort that I've now decided to call Heidi. If you watched the last video, you'll know that Heidi is now back in my possession after we collected the car from CLUMPFAB, where owner KEMBER done an awesome job on deleting the rust, adding some RS strengthening pieces and bolting on the new front wings. And I've got a few jobs I want to do before I can send that car to have some paintwork done. So next time I'm at Heidi's garage, I'm going to be cracking on with some jobs on her. But first, I'm going to be doing some bits on this car on my brakes at work. So I'm going to continue this video when I'm on my brake. But before that, we're approaching the Mexican border. We've got an open road. You know the drill. Drop a cog and make some noise. Hello, right, so I'm on my break and I really don't have long, but there is at least one job that I want to do on Maude that should literally only take me a few minutes. I mentioned before that I was unable to finish hooking up the choke cable for these bike carbs because I didn't have the proper solderless nipple to attach it to the choke mechanism. And then once I'd ordered the solderless nipples off of eBay, I realised that the carbs were missing the little bracket that holds the outer part of the choke cable, but I've now ordered one of them off eBay. Now the choke cable is already in position. I will need to cut this short at some point, but if we come into the cockpit, you can see that it's already on the dash, ready. So let's see if I can actually get it working today. I've got this nut and bolt just holding the cable in position here, so I need to undo that. Then I need to attach this bracket to the side of the carbs, something like that. Just need to undo this nut here, and then yeah, I should be able to just clamp the outer part in this bracket, and you just do this screw up to tighten it up, and then put the solderless nipple on the inner cable part and hook that up to the choke mechanism, and then it should all work. So I'm going to cue the music and get this done. That nut's actually attached to a rod that goes all the way through, and there's another nut on the back which is now spinning. I'll try and jam this screwdriver in there to stop it spinning. Alright, so it looks like it's all hooked up. I need to bend this tab a little bit just to make that a bit tighter. Don't have any pliers with me. Need to cut off the excess cable. But again, don't have any pliers or any cutters with me. But yeah, let's see if it actually works. I think the nipple slipped. It wasn't tight enough. Yeah, it wasn't tight enough. I think maybe I need to put a screw in the other end as well. Yeah, I've got another one of those solderless nipples exactly the same, so I can nick the screw out of that one. Let's try again. Alright, so the choke cable appears to be working. I definitely need to adjust the tension on it. It's a bit loose, but yeah, I need to cut off the excess cable and stuff next time around the garage anyway. Now it's not cold, but the engine is cold. Hasn't been run for a couple of hours now since I got to work, so we'll just see if it fires into life any quicker than it normally does. It normally takes a good few turns without a choke to start the engine when it's cold, so we'll see how it is with the choke pulled out. Doesn't really get tension until about there, but yeah, you can sort of twist this and it locks it in position. I'm going to try it without pushing the accelerator. So I'd say that's definitely marginally better. Normally I have to give it a little bit of gas and it takes a good few attempts. But the real test will be when it's really cold out. Anyway, I really need to get back to work now, so I'll continue this video next time I'm messing about with the cars. So I'll see you in a sec. Hello, right, so into a new day, and I'm round the garage before work with both of my Maude Mk2 Escorts. I want to crack on with some more bits on Maude, but first I want to turn my attention to Heidi. As you can see, since the last video, I've removed her front wings, which actually means you can get a better look at some of the stuff I couldn't show you when we collected the car. Here's the RS strengthening pieces that were hidden behind the front wings before. And we can also see the little patch that Chris at CLUMPFAB put in this passenger side front door. Now the weather is a bit iffy this morning, so I might have to push Heidi back into the garage if it starts raining again. But what I want to crack on with first this morning is getting a coating on some of the welding that Chris has done on these inner wings. He's already degreased the metal and covered it in epoxy primer, so yeah, I'll be able to go straight on top of this with some black spray can paint. And then the plan is to give it a coat of lacquer, and then once the lacquer dries, I'll key it up and give it a coat of this underseal stuff. Now I know there are some better products out there to use, but you know, I'm not turning this into a concourse build. I just want to get some sort of protection on the areas that Chris has done the welding. Now around this side, Chris already put a bit of underseal on this area because he basically had a bit left in the gun when he was doing a different job. So yeah, that's already coated. But yeah, I just want to cover all these areas that have so far only got epoxy primer on. Now I've already given those areas a bit of a wipe with degreaser, so I'm just going to shake the can up and get spraying. Tape along here, save getting black paint all over the engine bay area. Alright, job done. I've literally caked it on. I'm not worried about getting runs and all that. Just wanted to try and do it in one coat. I've stayed away from the A-pillar areas because they can get done beige when the door shuts get done. I probably could have done the same thing with these wing rails, really. They probably could have got done beige when the engine bay was done. But yeah, I've given them a coat of black. Coated the inside of the front panel here where it didn't have any underseal on it. And yeah, same thing around the other side. Caked it on, all covered. And once that dries, I'll give it a couple of coats of lacquer. So while I'm waiting for that black paint to dry, I'm going to crack on with some bits on Maude. I'm going to start by finishing off a job that I did yesterday with this choke cable. I'm going to do a better job of it. I'm going to cut this cable a bit shorter and yeah, make this under a bit more tension so that the choke actually works a bit better. I think first though, now that I'm actually around the garage and I've got two 10mm spanners, I'm going to tighten these nuts up a bit more. First things first, I want to shorten this cable, and I actually want to run it right alongside the throttle cable so it looks nice and neat. So it'll be something like that. If I pull the choke out from inside so that the inner cable goes that way a few inches, then I can just cut through the whole lot. Like that. Try it back in now. So now I think I'll get it into the nipple, and then we can determine the tension on the cable by how far this is into the bracket. Yeah, do you know what? I'm going to take this out and file the screw heads down. Well, it started raining, so I've put Heidi back in her garage. But yeah, this nipple now goes in the side there, so that should be much easier for me to hook the cable up to the choke mechanism. Should be able to just pull on this and then do this screw up. Alright, so we've got the cable looking way neater now because it follows the throttle cable, and that should be under a bit more tension than it was yesterday. The choke's actually raising the revs now, whereas it wasn't yesterday, hardly at all. but the engine's not cold at the moment, so it doesn't actually need it. The choke's not on at all when the choke's pushed in, which is good. So I'm calling that a win. Alright, so what I want to have a look at next is mounting this fan a bit better. Yeah, this is no good at all. So I bought one of these kits, which loads of you suggested I try. It's essentially, you know, these cable tie things that, you know, go through the fan and through, you know, the gaps in the radiator. And on the back, you've got these springs, and then these things basically lock onto the cable ties, and it comes with these protective pads and stuff as well. Now I'm going to try and do this without removing the radiator, but I think if I'm going to be able to do that, I'm going to need to take the grill off. So I'll just disconnect the fan, which is so much easier now. I've got this multi-plug on there, and the fan brackets are actually just cable tied on, so just snip them. Bottom ones might be a bit tricky, but get Stanley in there. Might have to loosen these nuts just to pull the rad away slightly. And then hopefully should just be able to drag this out. Sweet. Just remove my moody brackets. Just like that. Alright. So I've had a look at some pictures online, and it seems like this goes through here and then through the radiator, and then on the other side you obviously put protective pad to protect the radiator, then the spring, and then one of these which will obviously lock onto the cable tie, and this has got like a little groove in it, so the spring sits in there like that. But there is 8 protective pads, so I'm guessing the other ones go between the fan and the rad, and they've all got little holes punched out of them as well. Let's just mock it up. Alright, so with these holes here, as high as they'll go, the bottom ones actually hang below the core, so they're sort of where the bottom tank is. So what that means is, the only way this is going to work is if I was to drill some more holes here and here. Let's see if we can get the top 2 mocked up and then worry about the bottom ones. Get the sticky pads in position. So there's the sticky pads in position to protect the core from the springs. Next up go the springs. Feed that on there like that. And then next up is these, but I don't really want to push them on until I'm sure, because once they lock on, there's no going back. So I just click them on one click. Let's just send it. Not really sure how tight these should be, but just do it so the spring's slightly under tension. Now, I've done this one up tight. I should really put the protective pad there. I don't think it's going to matter because it's leaning against the tank rather than the core, but see if I can squeeze one in there. So I managed to get that little pad in between the fan and the radiator. Just now pull this other cable tie tight. That should be the top done. So in theory I can cut these off now. So now I need to do the same thing going through the holes that I drilled. So I think I'll crack on with that off camera and show you what it looks like if and when I manage to do it. Well, I managed to get the bottom 2 on. The fan is very sturdy on there. You can just see the springs there for the bottom 2. So yeah, I'm calling that a win. I've already done up the nuts that hold the radiator in. I've already plugged the fan back in, and yeah, that fan is on there really well. Happy days. So all I need to do now is refit the grill, and then I'm going to pull Heidi out and cover those areas that I painted earlier with lacquer, and then it's time for me to get myself to my day job. For some reason the rain today is rust coloured. Any scientists out there, do let us know in the comments what all that's about. Anyway, I'm almost at work now. The next thing I'm going to do with Maude's radiator is put some sort of sheet of alley or something on the slam panel. There's a gap between the radiator and the slam panel. It's not an issue this time of year, but you know, that gap could potentially stop the radiator being as efficient as it otherwise could be. So in the summer, maybe that will cause some overheating issues. But yeah, that'll be simple to do. Just need to cut a sheet of alley and screw it to the slam panel. Now I do have a little job for Maude that I'm going to be doing this evening at home. So I'll continue this video then. See you in a sec. Hello, right, into the evening time and I'm at home with my beautiful girlfriend Kat, who has just made me a cup of tea. Obviously in a Marcus Hayes mug. But what I've got over here on the workbench, which sometimes doubles as a dinner table, is Maude's fuse box. Oh, in other news, at the end of this month, I've got to put road tax on Esther and Maude. Don't you hate it when multiple bills come in at the same time? The road tax on both of those cars is free. Anyway, as I mentioned in a recent video, I've been having some intermittent electrical faults with Maude. Sometimes the indicators and stuff stop working and then they seem to start working again once I fiddle with the fuses. So yeah, I thought it was about time that I gave this fuse box a bit of a clean. I'm also going to sand all these copper contacts with this sandpaper and throw a load of new fuses in. I do have a massive bag of the white and the red fuses, which I couldn't find in my garage today, but I did find these ones in Maude, so I'll just choose the best ones out of the bunch. But yeah, right now I need to take this outside and give it a good sand, and I'll catch back up with you afterwards. This one here feels like it's just about to break, so I might actually throw some solder on there once I've cleaned it up just to strengthen it. Alright, so I've cleaned this fuse box up as best I can. I think it would have been better if I had like a little wire brush to do it with, but I don't have one here. All I had was the sandpaper. That contact there that I said was loose, it did begin to crack, so I've put a blob of solder on there. It's not really penetrating into the contact as much as I'd like, so I've just left a massive blob on there, and it seems to be a little bit stronger than it was. But yeah, I'm just gonna throw the best bunch of fuses that I've got into the fuse box. I was looking at this fuse a minute ago. This is the one for the indicators, the one that kept messing up. So I think my problem was more to do with the fuse than the fuse box anyway. But yeah, I'm going to load this back up with fuses and then fit it back to the car tomorrow. And we'll just see if I get any of those intermittent electrical faults in the near future. Hello, right, so into the next day, and I did film the end of this video on the way to work earlier, but like a numpty, I had the camera on time-lapse mode. I refitted Maude's fuse box this morning and all the electrics are working fine, but as I mentioned, the faults with the electrics that I've been having are intermittent and they seem to only occur when it's wet out, and the weather was actually really good today, so we'll see if those electrical gremlins are going to show their face again. The terminal for the red fuse was still a bit wobbly. I might try and add some araldite to it to strengthen it, or maybe I'll stop being tight and order another fuse box off eBay. This has been yet another video where I'm just cracking on with various little things, not getting up to anything major at the moment. But as I keep banging on about, there are going to be some big changes in my life very soon. In fact, they're going to be happening at the end of April, and I've already got a big trip planned at the end of April, and I'm going to be making loads of videos during that trip. And then when I get back from that trip, I'm probably going to dive into getting Esther, my Mk2 Escort, back on the road. I'm probably going to sit down and actually explain what these changes are in the next couple of videos and talk about my future plans for the show season and stuff. But yeah, this year is going to be really busy for me and I'm really looking forward to it. There's been quite a big gap between the last video and this video, so I'm going to end this video here, get it edited as soon as I can and get it uploaded for you guys to watch. So if you thought this video was any good, please do give it a thumbs up and a share. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down, click subscribe to keep up to date with all my future uploads, and check the links in the description to my social media. I'll also leave a link to my website down there for those of you that want to check out my regular blog posts or grab yourself some really cool merch to support and represent the channel. And I'll leave my email address in the description for you guys that want to get in touch with me. Massive thanks, as always, to each and every one of you for your continued support on my channel. But other than that, until next time, thanks for watching.